Fuck YouTube.
Greetings and welcome to this week's episode of the Pixel Crashes podcast, where I break stuff and everybody else laughs at me. Although, I will say, I haven't broke stuff nearly as bad as BioWare. Alright guys, we're done.
Oh, yep.
But I love the load screen.
Got him.
You know what?
Got him.
I'm awesome, apparently. Success. I actually got to play a little bit of the Anthem demo.
That doesn't make you awesome, Tucker.
No, it's all me. It's my glorious awesomeness.
Kev got to play it. He got to play.
I got to play the load screen game.
Loading screen simulator. Great.
Well, all Anthem did was make me go back to play more Resident Evil. Resident Evil 2, the remake is fucking glorious. I'm gonna go out there right now. That game is amazing.
Not according to IGN.
Well, I mean, they gave it an 8, then a 9, and then they changed the score again.
Don't worry, it'll be a 10 tomorrow, guys. Okay, you know, it was only because Capcom didn't pay him enough the first time around.
How
can we talk about the Kingdom Hearts fans for a minute too? Because the Kingdom Hearts fans are triggered too. They were pissed that GameSpot gave Kingdom Hearts an 8. They are at Kingdom Hearts. They are at GameSpot's throat right now. Kingdom Hearts fans are pissed.
How dare you hold them accountable to do their own jobs?
Yep.
They're at GameStops too because of the pre-orders for the PlayStation 4 Pro console that was like with the logos and shit for Kingdom Hearts 3. Those they oversold the pre-orders, so they had to cancel some. So
here's the fun part too. I was triggering people on Twitter yesterday. You guys seen the memes with Drake? He says no to one thing and then thumbs up to the other. Yeah. I said no to I had one that said no to Kingdom Hearts and thumbs up to Resident Evil. Woo, them Kingdom Hearts fans were mad. It was glorious. I was laughing all day through work yesterday.
It's Disney. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that it's Disney. It's that like you can't be mad at me for not wanting to go on adventures with Goofy. You can't be mad at me for that. Like I've never played Kingdom Hearts, so I tried the first one on PS4 with the remaster. Couldn't get into it. So when I say I've never played it, like I might have played it for like 2 hours. And I was like, nah, this ain't for me. This ain't it. I sold the game a little bit later.
So Kingdom Hearts, the one with the whatever Dark Cloud character in there or something like that?
No, Kingdom Hearts is basically Final Fantasy with Disney characters, is my understanding. Now, I hear the story is like amazing once you get into it.
It's got live action combat, not turn-based combat. So there's
live action, huh?
Like
hey, to be fair, that's not really an argument against Final Fantasy anymore because 15 had live action and I think it was
13 also
12 that
13 like a combination
13
of it?
I think had turn-based, but yeah, it might have been a combo. I never played 13, but I think it was 12 that also had the live action.
See, the latest game I got to was 10. Not even 10-2.
The only Final Fantasy I've really, really gotten into was 7. Like I've dabbled in some of the others, but Final Fantasy's everybody. With Final Fantasy, I jumped on the hype train when I was on the PS1, and I mostly liked it, but I didn't beat it.
That was the first game I got for it. Was for the PS1.
Oh, for the PS1, first game I got actually was the original Resident Evil.
Yeah,
there's
I bought it for the original Resident Evil
too, but Final Fantasy, like that was my first real long-term gaming obsession. Like I spent it maxed out the hours on there. So what, like $199 I think it was, or something like that.
Damn, you waited that long? I think my first long-term gaming obsession was probably Double Dragon.
A lot of what I was playing before was I actually Super Mario World could have been spent a lot of time into that one because I unlocked everything on Super Mario World.
That and X-Men on the Genesis. I logged some hours in on the original X-Men game on the Genesis.
I mean, my thing is that so I actually I enjoyed Resident Evil 1, but I actually never played Resident Evil 2.
Oh man.
Yeah, Resident Evil 1 was fun, but I just, you know, never really got into it. I mean,
man, you're so are you just not big into the?
Am I not big?
Were you
into
Resident Evil?
I played Silent Hill too.
That's what I'm about to say. Were you a Silent Hill guy?
Not always, but I definitely had my time with it.
I've played a little bit of Silent Hill, a little bit of Resident Evil, but I've never been a fan of that genre to begin with.
That's fair. Yeah. See, but that's how, and it's kind of hard to imagine because you guys remember back in the 90s when the first Resident Evil came out, the Silent Hill came out. Everyone was doing their spin-offs of those two games. You know, stuff like Dino Crisis, which was amazing. It was kind of like how the FPS genre was when COD took over. That's how survival horror was back then.
Mm-hmm.
So it's crazy when I hear you guys weren't really into survival horror back then. I'm like, almost everything. Like when Resident Evil 2 came out, I think the only games that at least me and my friends were talking about, you were either playing Metal Gear Solid, which I was never big into Metal Gear Solid. You were playing Resident Evil. You were playing Parasite Eve, or you were into some kind of fighter. I did
play quite a bit of Parasite Eve. I take that back. That one, even though I was still not quite a huge fan of the genre, like the theme behind, or the proposed science possibility behind the entire game, what made everything happen in that game, I like the idea behind it. I know it's bullshit, but still, like, it was an interesting, science fiction proposal. Like, And, I found a little bit of interest in that game as a result of that. But I don't even know if I ever beat the game. I just, survival horror is just, especially zombie-oriented survival horror, it's not my take. Most zombie anything, I'm just like, meh. If it's got comedy to it, that's where I take the most interest to it, like Zombieland or Z Nation.
I mean, let's talk about Silent Hill.
Or Shaun of the Dead, too. Forgot all about that one. That's an important
comedy. You should play the original Resident Evil trilogy. The voice acting is hilarious.
No,
the voice acting is a joke itself.
No, the thing is that you beat Silent Hill.
Beat horror. No.
Silent Hill has some great comedy to it because there's two endings of Silent Hill 2 that are both pretty fucking hilarious. One is, I shit you not, they're totally hipster on the History Channel thing, because they had an ending that literally was summed up in something that didn't come about for another 10 years after that. Alien. That was literally one of the endings, and that was way before the crazy dude on fucking History Channel it turned into a meme.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and then there was another one. The dog did it. That was also a great ending. Official ending of the game, by the way.
You got no stream chat on Twitch, by the way.
Yeah, I've been having issues with that.
Oh well.
He broke it.
I feel like the stream chat's being. I've been working on that. Also, as a small note on there, as we're kind of discussing things, there's no live stream currently on YouTube because YouTube is retarded in the way they handle events, and event stream keys just don't work right. So, and Xaiphen just going all out on fucking everything. So, that is a thing that happens as well. So.
That did not sound good the way you say that.
Yep.
This comes up on audio only.
It does happen. So in any case, obviously the big thing is Kev has been on a tirade recently about this whole IGN thing. So I figured let's go ahead and start off with that one. Let's get Kev, get it out of his system.
Give me half a second before you do that. I was going to say start with the epic story.
Epic story? Okay, fair enough. We can roll
that. Story is teaser. This story is epic. No, it's
really not. Look at that. The stream chat works over here. You know what? Fuck you, stream chat. Fuck you. Whatever. Anyway,
formatting.
No idea. Anyway, so this essentially there is an article written on Tech Critter, which I have no fucking clue anything about this site. I researched it for about 30 seconds. I'll be completely honest. I wouldn't necessarily call this the most logical conclusion. essentially, the premise put forward by this article, which it doesn't necessarily reach a solid conclusion, it's just suggesting a correlation between the amount of stores and the increase in piracy. And I'll kind of get to my thoughts on where I think that's flawed, but I kind of wanted to first pose the question to you guys. Do you guys think that having more game stores or more venues with which to purchase games, it leads to an increase in piracy?
Fuck no.
Yeah, I have to say it doesn't.
No, the only what usually it leads to an increase in piracy is some kind of heavy restriction. Like, now, granted, this isn't video games, but another media example, Star Trek Discovery had a huge rate of piracy because it was locked behind CBS All Access, which that was the only fucking thing that CBS All Access offered was Star Trek Discovery when it launched. Nobody wanted to pay to just watch one season of Discovery. So that got the shit pirated out of it. And, because they locked it behind that restriction, especially with that teaser on, because the show is awesome. They had that teaser with the first episode being on pay TV, on cable. And people saw that, they got into it, but they didn't want to pay for CBS All Access, so it got pirated a lot.
Mm-hmm. Well,
that makes sense. It's like people pirate things not because they don't want to pay. Some people just don't want to pay for it, yeah. But most people, it's usually because they're, like Xaiphen said, some heavy restrictions on it. Or sometimes using the pirated version is just easier. Like, it's more convenient. It removes the layers of bullshit. Like, that's why people pirate things. Like, the Epic Store in and of itself
that's still going into restrictions, though. Like,
I agree with
De Novo.
I agree with you, and this is kind of where I'm touching on with the Epic Store, too, and De Novo, even. The reason why games on the Epic Store, I think, are going to get pirated a lot more than normal, it's because they're just not on Steam. Like, people don't want to necessarily have to deal with another launcher, and that's people's primary complaint. My whole thing is with the Epic Store, and we've talked about this before, offer the same games, and Epic should, at least from a consumer standpoint, beat them with price. That's how you beat Steam. You beat Steam at their own game.
Mort made the argument that people would blame the price variance. The customer seeing a price variance would blame it on the publisher, where I still don't think that's the case. I think it would be blamed on the store. It's like, well, I can get it cheaper. I can buy this same game cheaper on Epic versus Steam.
You don't realize that Valve's fanboyism runs deep. If there's a game that's cheaper on there, they're going to blame the game publisher for not being available at the same price on Steam. They want to
But how is that any different? Like, I'm going to use the Resident Evil 2 game because it just came out and it's still on sale right now. You can get the game for $47 on Fanatical. You can get it for $47 on Green Man Gaming. Steam still has it for $60.
So how many games?
When I bought Shadow of the Tomb Raider, I got it for $40 on Fanatical.
First thing is, when you buy it on Green Man Gaming, what is the key for?
Steam.
Exactly. You buy it on the Epic Game Store for cheaper, and you have to use the Epic launcher. People are going to throw a fit at the publisher or at the developer for not making it available at the same price on Steam. That's the thing. Is that they're not going to.
What happens with say the Ubisoft? Because Ubisoft has deals too, and when you get them on like Humble Bundle, it's only on Uplay. They don't give you a Steam key.
Here's another way around that,
and people get pissed about it.
Yeah, here's another way around
minority then.
That would not have that same restriction. Is and again, Epic would have to go along with this, and there's only one store in the game that actually does it this way: GOG. Run it like GOG. Yes, you have to buy it through their store, download it through their store. After that, it's open game on your own system.
Well, the thing is you're still running
the thing is people want it actually in Steam. Yeah, they don't want to have to launch to the shortcut.
They want the friends list. They want the Steam Workshop. They want all of that stuff. All of the package that comes with Steam in there.
I'm that way. I love the package. I like tracking my game hours even.
Yeah. My personal thing is... Go ahead,
Sorry, that's a standard feature in almost any game launcher.
It is in a lot of them. I know GOG has it, Origin doesn't. Well, Origin doesn't have it on. Or not Origin. Uplay doesn't have it.
I was gonna say I know Uplay doesn't, but Origin does. It's almost a standard feature. It is.
You still find like BattleNet doesn't have it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm with you. It should be a standard feature. Everyone should have it.
Yeah. My thing is, and here's where I'm at. First of all, my problem is that a lot. I'm not saying that consumers are dumb. I'm just saying that consumers just look at the end result of a product, and they will see that a game is cheaper somewhere that they don't want it. The key is that you want to convince them that the Epic launcher itself is better. Now, cheaper prices is a good easy way to do that. But you also want the software itself to be more feature rich. That's what all of these guys, I don't care if it's GOG, fucking Epic Game Launcher, Origin, all of these guys can't fucking topple Steam because they don't offer but 10% of what Steam does. They think that, oh, we just put a game store out there and that's all we need to do. No, Steam has the game launcher. It's got a social platform. It's got a fucking mods platform. It's got all of this shit built into it. A review platform. I'm looking at you, fucking Epic, for not making your games have reviews public. Fuck you. That's bullshit.
While we're throwing shade too, I want to give credit to the one
communication.
Huh? While you're talking about the suite of software and suite of features, let's give a shout out to the one that actually kind of gets it right and nobody talks about. Discord.
Yeah. Well,
Discord is most of the way there. And Discord was most of the way there day one.
The thing is that they played it smart. I liked what Discord did, and I actually kind of called this out when we talked about it whenever they first launched. Is that they started off and they actually built the social platform first, then put in the game store like, oh, you guys are already on Discord. Discord almost, like, they fucking took over the PC gaming communication space. Yeah, there's a few people that still use, like, Mumble or TeamSpeak, but they're very few and far between.
Yeah, Discord, or Skype or something like that. Yeah, almost nobody uses that anymore.
Now it's
everyone has everywhere. Discord.
Yeah, exactly. So now
the only people that I know of off the top of my head that use TeamSpeak are on EVE Online, and it's just because they've got more server space for EVE Online and that stuff for Mumble and TeamSpeak. They'll use Discord to ping for fleets, but they do not use
the voice chat.
Yeah, they don't use the voice chat in Discord because there's no real way for them to ensure that it's just them on the speaking, where Mumble and that they've got special passwords and shit that they've got set up through other websites.
Well, I mean,
and I think it also comes down to it was already established too. Like they were already established, they're already set up there.
Pretty much what it is, because there's ways to lock down Discord server.
Oh yeah, Mort's done it.
Trust me, you guys have seen how fucking not overly complicated. I've made it very streamlined.
Oh, it's not overly complicated, but you made sure to lock it down. You locked it down in a way I'm like, it's just a Discord server. And you remember actually we had this conversation initially, where I was like, it's just a Discord server. Like if something happens, we just make a new one. And you're just like, well, but why start from scratch?
Yeah, my thing is that if I can set this up as a scalable solution. So we don't have to do that, and furthermore, at this point, most of it runs itself. I just let the robot overlords take care of everything. And I pay them. I pay them
down to the overlords.
The thing
you will see me in Discord legit arguing with those robot overlords.
Jeremy.
What is it, Jeremy? Jeremy is always fucking arguing with the bots.
that was his favorite pastime for a while. I would wake up in the morning, there'd be 20 fucking chat messages in there of Jeremy having it off with one of the bots. It was giving him warnings for something, like all caps or whatever, because I forgot to disable that feature.
It was great.
But when I say robot overlords, I actually mean that. That's what they're called. They're called overlords. You know?
There's the evil overlord and the robot overlord.
But as we roll it back as we sorry. My biggest problem with the Epic Store is I like that they're offering the free games. I feel like that's kind of their shtick. But what else besides those free games do you offer? Those free games are going to end up like, say, for example, Games with Gold and PS Plus. Yeah, people are happy to get the games, But realistically, people only play a couple of them.
Here's the thing:
usually by the time you get the good ones, you've already bought them and played them.
They are not trying to draw the consumer directly. They are drawing the publishers. They're catering to the publishers. They're trying to draw the publishers. They're trying to lock in exclusives from the publishers, and that's the only thing they can offer to consumers is exclusives if they have them. And that's not even really an offer either. That's removing offers from other players or other stores.
That's actually why. And that's exactly why I said the exclusivity was dangerous. Because you remember when we were talking about it, I don't like the exclusivity. I understand, and I say like with console exclusivity, I understand why it exists. That doesn't mean I like it.
And to tie this back to the actual story on here, this was the major flaw I saw with this article, is that they were talking about more store choices leads to higher piracy rates, when in actuality, the conclusion they didn't seem to realize that they were suggesting is it's not more store choices, it's more exclusivity. It's what the consoles have. It's one of the things that PC gamers hate. That the reason why they don't play on consoles is they fucking hate exclusivity. That's something that's the major impetus behind a lot of their motivation for where they buy stuff. That's the reason why GOG is the second biggest game store on the thing. Like, people talk about you playing Origin because or Battle.net because of the big name games behind it. But people don't realize the GOG is actually the second largest game store by a lot. Steam is on the top by a lot. GOG is second place by a lot.
GOG is second place in terms of how many games they have, or in terms of
how many purchases they get, the money they rake in.
That doesn't surprise me, because a lot of people like the non-DRM.
Yep.
And I think GOG would actually be bigger if they actually got more modern games.
It's not just
that's one of the biggest things that hold them back.
Let me rephrase that. More modern AAA games.
Yeah.
Which they're
even if they had got older AAA games, that would still give them a boost too, because there's some people that are looking to go back to the older stuff.
Well, they are getting older AAA games, but think what would have happened if, say, I'm going to go back to Resident Evil, because that's the big game this week. Think how big that would have been on GOG if they would have gotten it there too.
Huge.
Think about how that would have been epic if they would have gotten that. Hell, think about how people started to wild out when they got BioShock. They got the BioShock remaster years later, and people were excited for it. It's like people like what GOG is doing. I personally just really like the Steam ecosystem. So while I don't see myself moving to GOG, I don't think GOG is bad. I think what GOG is doing is great. I just like the ecosystem.
And that comes back to, for example, I purchased.
I like preference.
I purchased the two examples of GOG games that I purchased. I purchased Shadow Warrior 2. Actually, I got that for free. Yeah, that was free.
Yeah, we all got it for free.
Yeah, yes. It was a free game. Got Shadow Warrior 2 for free, and I have Divinity Original Sin I bought. Those two games as examples. Number one, Divinity Original Sin 2 has a rather robust mod community behind it, right? And both games have multiplayer in them, right? Now, I have not played Divinity Original Sin multiplayer to see how that even works. If, say, someone else was playing off of Steam and I was playing off of GOG. Fortunately enough,
we can try it. I have it on Steam. Just let me know.
Yeah. So Shadow Warrior 2, we actually played that out. I think Xaiphen and I got it.
You and I played it a little bit too.
I think it was.
It was Kevin more. That was the cross store play.
Yeah, that's right. And we were able to get that to work because Shadow Warrior 2 operates its own online matchmaking system. It's weird, it's janky, but it works. The catch is that not a lot of indie developers have the capability or want to go to the trouble of setting up their own matchmaking whenever Valve offers its own, right? And that's kind of a problem that you have there, is that kind of indebits you, I guess, to the Steam ecosystem, and you're kind of trapped in there. Same as if you build your modding community off of the Steam Workshop, which Divinity Original Sin 2 has that, but they also have the addition of having their own side mods through like Nexus and that. The catch is that from a normal gamer perspective, The modding for Steam is much easier. You go to the workshop, hey, look, I want this guy. Subscribe, boom, it gets put into your game. You don't have to do anything. Oh, you don't want it anymore? Boom, unsubscribe, it's gone. Whereas when you do it through like Nexus, in some cases you might have to go through a little bit more trouble to get rid of that mod.
Yeah.
So I think that's the main problem is whenever you are with GOG, GOG does not have a modding platform. They added a modding platform to their game, boom. Like especially if they launch that with like Witcher 3, game that has a lot of mods for it. It's very well known for some of its mods on there. They own the property. It can essentially be their you know, their Dota 2 or their Team Fortress 2, if you will, comparing it to Valve. Put that in there. Have that as their launch title for their mod store or their mod framework, and then how other people will jump into it like crazy because modders love GOG because of no DRM. Makes it easier in some cases to mod it. Anyway.
Oh yeah.
I personally, and I've been talking when Kev was talking down on Epic Games. I was of the mind of whenever people say exclusivity, I usually associate that with publisher paid or store game paid exclusivity, right? Where somebody is handing over a wad of cash to a game maker or a publisher to have it only on one specific outlet. And in that case, I think that is fucking disgusting and should be abolished immediately. That said, if it's exclusivity by choice, as in you're offering me a better deal, that's kind of an unfortunate downside to the market that we're in currently. That's not something that's that you can offer with better prices. If Steam can't offer the same prices, which let's be honest, they fucking can if they really wanted to.
Well, that's one of the things is right now the stores are controlling the market.
Yes.
Their competition is controlling the market. The publishers have, you know, they are the stores and the publishers are the ones that are going back and forth with each other. The consumers are an afterthought. The publishers have the power to go direct to consumer. You know, yes, there's some caveats behind that. There's some potential issues, especially with the fanatics, but they have the capability to put the power play, you know, the choice truly up to the consumer, and just have it available on all stores. Say, you know, massive amount of availability on PC, and like the consumers can pick how much they want to pay for versus what system or store they want to buy it from.
Yeah, and I mean, and sometimes, you know, you just have to look there. It's like, what's more important to you? For example, when I have to see a really good deal on a game before I just go and buy it through Uplay. I just don't like the Uplay experience. I've gone as far as rebuying games to have them on Steam just because I really like that ecosystem. I've done it. If I find the game for like $5, and that's usually for older stuff. Like I got Far Cry 4. I think I found it for like $7.
Yeah,
and so I said, yeah, okay, I'll just do it and have it on Steam.
Just acknowledge Pinnacle Ops in the chat there. I kind of in a certain way agree with you that Origin is a demonstration of why publishers shouldn't go straight to consumers. In a certain degree, I agree because I'm against the idea of giving publishers any more power over the market than they already have.
No, I agree with that. And in that method, the Origin launcher, that is too direct. They're not giving consumers the choice on what I'm describing. You know, like my method, the method that I'm describing is giving the publishers giving consumers the choice more directly than having to go the stores making the choices. The consumers are making the choices. Yes, the publishers are taking a more direct route, but the choice is still up to the consumer. It's putting more power to the consumer instead of the store.
Right, but the problem is that publishers are going to mess around and just say, oh, well, I don't like what you're doing. For example, I think this will happen with Fallout 76. Bethesda didn't like Valve's refund policy. They say, yeah, they're going to refund the hell out of the game. We're just going to put out Bethesda.
Well, to be fair, okay, so that obviously a little bit hyperbolic. I don't think it's necessarily the refund policy. I'm pretty certain
I think the refund policy for Fallout 76 was huge.
No, I think every single bit of it has to do with 30% cut. Because they chose
that might have been part of it too.
They chose to launch it. I guarantee you, Bethesda probably said, "Hey, can we get a better cut than 30%? Because we're going to sell like hotcakes there." And Steam was like, "No, You're the same as everybody else. Because right after Fallout 76 was announced to come out on Bethesda's platform, that's whenever Steam made that announcement that if you sell so many copies, you get a better cut.
Wasn't it Skyrim Mobile? Or no, I think it was Fortnite that made the choice to skip the Google Play Store. To avoid that 30% cut.
That was PUBG.
PUBG, my bad, not Fortnite.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to avoid that 30% cut. And of course, there's no other directly authorized store. I mean, there's some third-party options there, but any one of them could take a 30% cut, except for F-Stop, or not F-Stop. I can't remember what the name of the app is, but that one it's all free and open source, so there's no cut through that one. But yeah, like the Amazon App Store, other things like that, they'd still take a 30% cut too. So they went with you have to install it as a sideload app, a direct APK install, which circumvents security policies.
Yeah.
It may be harmless, but there's nothing double checking that.
Yeah. The thing is though, is that I think you're seeing a lot of publishers kind of throwing that normal that 30% cut. They're starting to kind of rebel against that. I mean, to be honest, EA did that a long time ago, right? So obviously that's not really a big thing, but it's still to the point where I think that's the main impetus behind like the birth of Epic Games Store was entirely to take advantage of what they saw an opportunity. I can't blame them for that. They saw that all these publishers are starting to go with their own solution because they're getting overcharged from what they feel.
That was a well-timed power play.
Yeah, it was. And the thing is Discord obviously kind of one-upped them a little bit to try to also take advantage of that as well. But I just feel like that unless Steam has a response, that's probably not going to be a lot of stuff that happens from there. Now to be fair, continuing on with Epic Games Store, one thing they did do to front criticism was they did update their refund policy to match that of Steam's. The problem is, from those of us that kind of have paid attention to this, Steam's refund policy is pretty shit.
Yeah,
it's
funny how much people celebrated it when they got it too. People said I was being too much when I initially said like 2 weeks. Like this ain't that great, and it's like 2 weeks or 2 hours.
Yeah.
Look at GOG. GOG's refund policy is amazing. 30 days, no questions asked.
Yep.
You can keep the EXE. You can technically keep the game free forever, get a refund, and GOG would be none the wiser.
Technically, they will ask questions. However, they'll get questions more or less just to satisfy their curiosity. But that question and answer is not going to deny you your refund. You will still get your refund.
Bethesda, on the other hand, has you fill out a 16-page report in triplicate, notarized, and mailed to them.
Well, you also have to sacrifice your firstborn and a goat. The goat parts of the goat have to be mailed along with a blood sample and a hair sample.
They told me I had to give one. They told me I had to give certain body parts.
They're not saying they need this, but I'm saying you should send it anyway. A stool sample.
No, they told me they needed my body parts.
I don't need a stool sample. I can just send them a video sample of Fallout 76, and that functions the same way as a stool sample.
Oh.
Anyway, by the way, but just for clarity, that was a technical glitch that caused the refund form to be that complicated. They've since fixed that. So people can get much clearer refunds, but it was still.
Is this one of those technical glitches, like why I spent a couple hours looking at loading screens?
Oh no, we'll get to that.
Anthem
we'll get to that, Kev. We got a more important story to cover first.
More important than Anthem?
Well, yeah, you're IGN.
For you at least, you've been going on for days about this.
IGN gonna get this smoke. Free smoke.
Tell us about it, Kev.
What's there to tell? Oh, are you switching over? Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about this because none of the games media want to talk about this.
Yep.
So, and because I think I'm the only one here who's actually beaten the original Resident Evil 2. Am I correct?
I haven't.
Yeah.
I haven't.
And I know Xaiphen said more. Did you play it?
No.
No, you did. Okay, so I'm the only one here who's played it.
I played part of the first one, and that's it.
Well, in Resident Evil 2, You remember how in the Mass Effect Dragon Age games you can carry over your saves into other playthroughs?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. Resident Evil 2 was one of the first games to do that. You start off playing as Claire or Leon, and then you play as the other person in the second scenario. And the games change between the scenarios. And if you play them in the opposite order, then again they play completely different. So you essentially have 4 different game scenarios that you can play through. Where
More
IGN
if you count the extra modes, but yeah.
Well, the extra modes that you had to know how to unlock, yeah. But 4 base modes. Now, where IGN fucked up, they essentially said you have one scenario, and the only difference is whether you play Claire or Leon, and some of the people you encounter are the only differences. But essentially, the story plays out exactly the same. The stories do play out similar, regardless of what you do in the 4 scenarios. They're still similar because it's literally like you're playing it from the other person's perspective. However, there is enough difference in each scenario to justify it. And it was a big part of what Resident Evil 2 was. IGN said that they had taken it out of the game, then retracted their story and changed the score when they realized that the person who wrote the review was just wrong. And then they found more inaccuracies in this review and continued to edit and change the score. And just it got to the point where where they probably didn't play the game, but they put the review out anyway. Like, that's unacceptable in modern games. I've seen people, like just YouTubers, who have been taken over the coals for reviewing games that didn't even insert into their console or get installed onto their PC. So IGN's playing the past. No, not a lot of people are really talking about that.
The thing is I just want to point out that the reason why they had to edit the review so much is because they wanted to make sure it didn't match the person they stole it from.
Yeah, they plagiarized the review of the original game.
Yeah, that's what it was.
From what, 20 years ago?
Yep.
And that's what they thought they'd get it. Because they're like, okay, they thought, the people that played it 20 years ago, they're like me, they're mid-30s. They're not going to care so much, they're not going to catch it. And, and me, IGN's review is actually the only one I read. Just because it's like Resident Evil 2 is one of my top 5 games of all time. I know what's in Resident Evil 2. I was bummed because I heard this. I was like,
here's an M. Night Shyamalan plot twist. Here's an M. Night Shyamalan plot twist. They plagiarized their own review from 20 years ago.
Well played, sir. Actually, it's funny if they would have read the review from 20 years ago.
Yes, IGN has been around for a little while, people.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, IGN's been around for a hot minute.
They're actually they are the biggest games media outlet currently.
And what's funny, for them to be the biggest games media outlet, they're getting caught up in a lot of bullshit with stealing reviews, not finishing the games they review, just being inaccurate in their news stories. Just saying outright bullshit and lies. I remember I got on their PC review, one of their PC reviews a couple years ago, because he was just saying some just flat out inaccuracies about building his PCs, and I think he made some weird comment like it's been at least $1,000 to build a PC.
How much thermal paste did he use?
He was planning about to do a bunch of thermal paste.
Here's my question:
spending like a ludicrous amount of money on this PC, and that came out. I'm like, that ain't true, dude. Like, why are you saying? He's like, well, that's your opinion, but I know what I said is fact. He kind of had this "I'm bigger than you" attitude about it when I called him out on Twitter about it.
I've got an interesting thought here on companies that have been around for a while, have themselves well established, and they've been going strong for several decades, or even longer in some cases. Can a company suffer senility by age?
I mean, it looks like it.
Yeah,
this is not isolated to like this company. This happens a lot.
Yeah,
I think honestly, what happens?
We're too big to fail. Fuck everyone.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, some companies are like that. Now, at least I like when Bank of America does it, because Bank of America just says it. We're too big to fail, and Bank of America just says it. I'm like, you know what, Bank of America, you're good with me because you're a scumbag and you admit it.
I got to interject with this completely random thing here. I've got real life sensu beans.
Yes.
Oh shit, he has sensu beans.
Espresso beans.
Real life sensu beans.
Chocolate coffee beans, love it.
Sensu bean!
I love just the crinkles all over the place. Yeah. So,
I'm not sure that's how sensu beans work. Well, I saw somebody put a whole Goku. He took a sensu bean and he was good.
So my question is,
he was good in like 5 minutes.
You know what it is? It's chocolate covered coffee beans with morphine and coke also added in.
That makes sense. Damn. I agree with
cocaine.
So
sounds good.
Delicious.
Yeah, my
pain and energy.
Yeah. So as hello to Jim in the chat, your caps lock appears to be broken. In any case, so my question is to you guys. My question is to you guys. Do you guys believe that the continued kind of dropping the ball of these reviews, Kev was talking about before we went on the air about how people see reviews, and what is that? What do you guys think will be the continued repercussions, the like loss of trust with consumers based upon this? Do you guys think that reviews, anybody's going to keep paying attention to them if this keeps up?
No.
Let me touch back on my point. What I was saying, it was people aren't going to trust these companies if they keep fucking up these reviews. Mm-hmm. And consumers are at the point where they're starting to see these reviews as just marketing. As it's just basically just marketing for the game, promotion to help promote the game. I was also talking about Hardware Unboxed, and they actually got accused of this. For those of you who don't know, Hardware Unboxed YouTube channel, they review PC hardware. Yep. So they were reviewing NVIDIA's new RTX 2060, or they were going to, but they didn't get their review sample when everybody else did because they had said some unfavorable things about the other RTX cards. And somebody tried to call them and say, oh, well, you're just part of marketing. They don't have to send you anything. You're not entitled to it, which they're not. You can go buy it on your own. And they say you're just a part of marketing. And if you're not marketing their stuff correctly, then they have the right to withhold product. That's not the way reviews are supposed to work.
Nope.
The way reviews are supposed to work is you are supposed to take the product, use it, be brutally honest about it. Extremely critical about it.
Yep.
Give people an inside out thorough investigation of the product and tell them your thoughts there and report back. What you are doing is you are doing work for the consumer, not the company. What the company hopes is that you have enough good things to say about it that it will make the consumer want to buy the product.
Yep.
Here's what's going to happen as a result of this, because of the propaganda world that we currently live in this country, is the publishers are going to use lazy independent reviews to leverage their tight grip control over the reviews that do come out. It's going to be only a publisher paid reviews after a certain point. They're going to trump the shit.
They already do. Look at Bethesda or EA, and they're look at what they did with the promo for Fallout 76. We talked about the canvas bags. Those, went all to the influencers. They flew them out to West Virginia to play the game a month early, so they can get their gameplay and say all the nice things that they wanted to say about it.
We weren't actually going to talk about this story, but this is going right into EA Game Changers.
but that's my point, though. It's like, and they're doing it with the game. They did it with the Game Changers in Andromeda. They did it with the Game Changers in Star Wars Battlefront 2. And
well,
Battlefront 2, though, in Battlefront Front's defense, it is actually a good game. It's a good game that got caught. No, let me finish.
Launch.
It was at launch. The problem with Battlefront 2 wasn't the game itself. It was the monetization. Had they not had the bad monetization in there and had the level progression actually correct, like the actual,
but that's the backbone of the whole game. That's the backbone of the whole fucking game. When it launched, that loot box system was the backbone of the entire game. So when you say,
I guess we're looking at it differently then, because to me, the shooty pew pew is the backbone of the game. Do you like shooters or don't?
That's what keeps you in the game. That's the gameplay loop, right?
Mm-hmm.
The impetus, though, what's the driving force behind the game is that loop progression, right?
Pew.
Yeah, it's
because why are we here? We're here to shooty pew pew.
Well, the thing is, though, is that what I'm saying is that when they ripped out the monetization, they had to go back and completely fucking rebalance the whole game. Same with Shadow of War. Had to rebuild. Yeah. That tells you how deeply ingrained that system was. So when you say that the game wasn't bad, a part of the game was good.
I would say maybe part of the game was bad, but the core of the game was good.
Well, no, I'm saying the core of the game was this rotten, fucking unethical loot box gambling simulator, and that's the problem. It was the Anthem. Core of the game.
Anthem. I played Anthem a little bit.
Glass half empty. I get what you're saying, Mort. I'm just looking at it from the other angle.
Yeah.
When I look at the game, it's what am I doing? Like I can look past the loot box shit if I can get in there, play, and have a good. Yeah. I can look past.
There are some people that can deal with that, but like, okay, let me give a couple examples here. Anthem. Now, this is a new game for me, so I can only give you surface impressions. The mechanics are fun. I don't know how long I would have fun with it. Whereas here's another game that has fun mechanics that did not last me very long. Overwatch. Overwatch has great mechanics, and it does have some progression to it as they add more content, but it was not enough to keep me.
Yeah. So the thing is that, and I want to kind of bring it back to what we were talking about with the kind of reviews and kind of tie it into that, is with EA Game Changers, like what I was talking about with that one, is I specifically was kind of on it because obviously with Anthem, and obviously we're going to talk more in detail about that blunder, but the issue with Anthem and then Battlefront 2 and then games, any EA games, FIFA, every FIFA game also has EA Games Changers for it. A lot of us on our side that don't play FIFA, we don't see a lot of that, but they also have it for Madden. All of those major EA titles, those staple titles.
I mean, and really, every game series at this point has its own set of games.
Well,
there are people out there that are just known for playing, say, NBA 2K or just playing for Madden. Like one of my favorite YouTubers I used to watch for NBA 2K, Chris Smooth. He still does it. I started watching him playing COD, then he's transitioned to just playing 2K.
Yeah.
And an influencer for it.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, though. This is the main thing. For those who don't know what an EA Game Changer is, if you see in the description of their video, courtesy of EA Game Changers, what that means is that EA has paid to fly that person out to the EA studio who happens to be making the game. In this case with Anthem, it happened to be EA, BioWare Edmonton. As they flow them out to BioWare Edmonton, they get a chance to maybe provide the guys, the kind of this tagline of how they present this is that it is a means by which for players to provide direct feedback into the development of the game. Of course, that's entirely bullshit. That's just the actual, the face they put on it. What it is that those then influencers, because it's only big channels, influencer channels, that get this opportunity, right? Not necessarily people that really give a shit about the game. It's the people that have audiences that they can touch with advertising, right? So they give them a chance to get some exclusive footage of the game in development and so on, record some footage. Now they embargo it, so they can't release it immediately. There's a date that they have to wait until they can release those videos. But they get that exclusive content, exclusive gated content. EA chooses who's there. It's not media outlets. It's only influencers that get this. And then when people go online, want to find out information, oh, I heard about this Anthem. I want to find out more about this Anthem game. Who are they going to see? Oh, guess what? Influencers, the game changers. They control that fucking narrative. Those game changers.
Well, I've seen some. Well, I'm saying I agree with you mostly. I have seen some people in the Influencers Game Changers program specifically who don't give a fuck. They will shit on a game that they've been flown out to play.
Hold on.
But they aren't an influencer long.
No, the thing is, that's exactly it. I actually was talking to one of the buddies in BioWare Outpost, right, named Drook. He was telling me about FIFA Game Changers that spoke out against a FIFA game doing some bullshit, and they weren't a game changer anymore. Right, that's how BioWare, or not BioWare, how EA does it, is they essentially, people then end up giving biased footage of the game based upon, either they feel gratitude because they got to be a part of this exclusive club, Or B, they got to they're afraid that if they don't give favorable coverage to this game, that they'll have that exclusive access revoked. Or C, in the case of some, I've never actually seen this happen before, but the possibility of it being there is also true, is that they feel the need to give overly critical coverage of a game because they feel like they might be biased from that exclusive access. In no case of those is that going to be fair and unbiased coverage of the game. In every case that I've seen, it's been unfairly biased in favor of the EA game. And like I said, I've heard anecdotal evidence from like others in the FIFA one where people spoke out against it, and then they got quietly, exited from the premises, so to speak, so that they no longer can talk and have that voice. They no longer get the exclusive access, and so on. That's how EA does it.
EA particularly. Yeah, I'll give you EA. No. Like I know we've talked about Black Okage and Modern War Negro. That was one of my influences when we wanted to start the podcast. And I know he's an EA influencer. I haven't seen him shit on any EA games that I can remember. I've seen him shit on quite a few Ubisoft games that he's been saying.
Yeah. The thing is,
where the game was just trash and he would just kind of call it what it is.
Yeah, Ubisoft had their star players thing or whatever, but I think that was a little bit different. Same with Digital Extreme's Warframe partner channels. The thing is that there's a difference in dynamic when you see that. Like I was having a conversation with someone and I pointed out, I was like, you look at Quiet Shy or Quite Shallow, whatever her channel name is now, Quiet Shy. She fucking calls Digital Extremes out on their shit constantly. She is constantly giving them shit. And they actually love her for that. Rebecca Ford, the community manager for Warframe, is like literally best buds with her because she's fucking honest with them and gives them honest feedback. She's been shitting on Anthem for the past 2 days like nothing else, too.
Yeah.
Anthem breaks my heart.
Yeah,
Anthem breaks my heart because the more I see it, the more it makes me think of Mass Effect multiplayer. It looks like it plays a lot like it, which I expected it to. And all I get to do is look at that pretty Colossus load screen.
So let's talk about this for a little bit. Let's officially transition over here, since we're down to that 30-minute mark and we're moving right along on here. So the Anthem VIP beta beta demo, whatever. It is officially a demo because you were inserted in the middle of the game. It's not a beta, but in any case, that being said, so it launched yesterday at 9 a.m. When I say launch, I say that in the most esoteric definition of it.
This most sarcastic, snarky of more ways.
Figurative.
Yeah, because essentially what happened was they effectively launched that demo, and very few people were able to actually log in and play the game. A few actually did.
Xaiphen.
But shortly after that, well, I got to play it a bit today, but
I still haven't gotten to get in.
Shortly after that, EA tweeted out that they were adding more server capacity. I just want to throw out a real quick thing on here. There's a lot of comedy going into this, and we'll kind of get to it. Fuck Xaiphen.
Pretty small.
That's some
comedy.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, so
I think I might have done that wrong.
Yeah, I think you got confused. So here's the thing: is that as a bit of a piece on here, I tweeted out and posted something on Facebook, essentially that because EA tweeted out they were adding more server capacity. I'm like, why the fuck would you need? You should be having extra server capacity in the launch of the game, and then scaling it back as people don't log on. And then, of course, in their update that BioWare posted today, they were like, I just want to call out the comments talking about, server capacity, that's not true type of thing. And I'm like, really? You guys are fucking... EA was the one that tweeted out about the server capacity, and BioWare is essentially trying to discredit their own company. And I don't even think they realize it. In any case,
I had a theory on how they measured their needed server capacity. What they did is they took a game that is very similar to it that is currently being played today. They took how much server capacity versus how many VIP keys there were. They went with how many active players there are on Mass Effect Andromeda today.
Nobody plays Andromeda.
Out of all the copies that were sold, and that's the percentage that they used for available server capacity for Anthem.
No, I just want to.
I legit think me and Rose are the only people. Cause I see Rose on that mother day. I think Rose and me are the only people who play Andromeda, and I don't know if she's. I think she's playing single player. I only play multiplayer. See, I'm playing multiplayer.
I actually fired up multiplayer the other day. I removed 6 games to fit it on my drive. Boris! It's a damn near 50 gigabyte game, so there's a lot of smaller games I keep a hold of, so I removed those.
Still not as bad as Ubisoft games. In any case, I just put up the actual tweet from EA that said, "We're adding more server capacity to the Anthem demo right now. Hang tight while we work to get everyone in the game." This is the comment that fired off all of it, and of course, what brought kind of light to it was Shy, who's got quite a following behind it, actually saying, "How about you do that before the game launches?" She was like in a tirade yesterday. To be fair, in any case,
but here's what makes their comment stupid though. If we needed more server capacity, on that initial load screen where it says we're connecting to server, if you really needed more capacity, you wouldn't be able to load onto the goddamn game in the first place.
Well, no.
This is capacity to do so.
This is what they were. I think the initial theory that EA had whenever there was a first problem, which we're going to get to why that wasn't even the issue, and that's completely fair. The initial issue presented itself as they were having players getting an error message that said that the server's at max capacity or something, try again later. And from all intents and purposes, it appeared as though their instances, their actual server instances, and that's what takes up the space, was running really high, and there was a ton of people in there. Well, and that's what this story is about, and what I was getting at with this one is there is this whole little thing here that says that essentially someone did the same guy that did the packet capture on No Man's Sky to prove that No Man's Sky had no multiplayer. This guy actually went back, or at least he claims he's that guy. I don't really know. But the thing is that he was essentially claiming that he did a packet capture of Anthem and found out that whenever it had received an initial failed connection request, it would then spam like hundreds per second connection requests trying to reconnect. It was extremely aggressive in reconnecting. And it's pretty much like, well, effectively the game is DDoSing itself. But not just itself, because the problem is that actually started all over Origin. People were having connection issues for other multiplayer games on Origin. It's like, you really fucked this up. In any case,
we got DDoSed by who? Was it a hacker group? No, ourselves. They literally and figuratively shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah. So, needless to say, the day one of their VIP demo, for the people that pre-ordered the game, mind you. So, like, when you talk about level of disasters for EA, this ranks up pretty high because I can't imagine how many canceled pre-orders this caused.
maybe that's why I got on, because I wasn't actually a pre-order. I'm on a limited demo because I've got the basic access or whatever the hell it is. It's like a 10-hour demo or some crap like that.
I just came home to a free beta key in my email.
Yeah, NVIDIA gave me a free key on there as well. It's probably because we got 1080s. They're like, you just spent a lot of money with us. We'll give you some chump change.
Yeah, you spent a lot of money with us.
AMD doesn't give a shit about people like that.
Yeah,
they really don't.
No.
I'm sitting with a 1060 and didn't get anything, so
yeah.
Well, how do I put this? And that's me mean. NVIDIA thinks you're a peasant. I don't think you're a peasant. NVIDIA thinks you're a peasant.
Let them think I'm a peasant.
Yeah.
Screw them.
So my thought is based. So I actually wanted to kind of touch on take this opportunity to kind of get a little flavor on here. So Xaiphen, you said you were able to get in. Rose, were you actually able to get in on it at all?
No.
No.
Did you try?
You guys are. I don't have a code.
Oh, that's why. Gotcha.
See, the reason why I did not get a code to get into this. I don't even have basic. I'm still sitting on, and I canceled it, but it doesn't expire until March. I have the basic edition of Origin Access. There's a more expensive version, apparently premium version. I didn't know that when I paid for the year, but after 6 months, I canceled my yearly subscription, and that's due up in March. But it's still active. So I, was eligible for the limited demo. There's a limited and unlimited demo. The limited, I think, is like 10 hours or some crap like that. I can't remember. But I was able to get right on right away. I had no problem. And I think that's the reason, maybe that's the reason why I was able to get online, because it wasn't a pre-order key. It wasn't a VIP.
Yeah, maybe. So here's my thing, is that I got a chance to actually finally get into the game. I tell you what, the dodging, the double jumping, the hit detection of the actual gunfire and stuff is straight ripped the fuck out of Andromeda. I'm not kidding. It feels exactly like a.
I actually don't mind that. I love the gunplay in Andromeda.
I'm not saying that's bad. I'm saying it is. If you played Andromeda, that's exactly what it feels like. Now, obviously, it goes beyond that because there is actually full flight capabilities in there, but it's still you can very much tell that is straight from Andromeda, that mechanic's in there, and a lot of the graphical interactions there do feel a lot like what was in Andromeda, and not really a bad thing.
It feels a little bit more refined than Andromeda in some cases. Like the movement in there, the gameplay movement seems almost exactly like Andromeda plus full flight, limited full flight. The graphics seem a little bit more polished, more consistent. And when I went in, there's a couple of randos, just jumped in. It automatically pairs you with random people if you're not in a party.
Yeah.
And
unless you connect private.
I didn't notice.
Private.
Yeah, I didn't set anything. I just ran in without changing any settings other than inverting the look, because I can't play without that shit. Especially if there's flight sim involved in that. Definitely have to have one.
Xaiphen's a monster because he flies inverted.
Yes.
I fly inverted control.
If I play it offline.
Back in the day, all the way up until Halo 2, it wasn't until Halo 3 that I actually changed my play style. I used to confuse the fuck out of people because I played with legacy sticks. So move and turn was on the left stick. Strafe and vertical look was on the right stick, and people would pick, and it was inverted. People would pick that up to how the fuck do you play this game?
You monster!
That keeps you from trying to take over from me. That's the whole point of that.
Yeah.
But I've adapted to having look all entirely on the right side. But I still have to have that look inversion. Otherwise, I get fucked up on that.
I can see that. So my thing is that there you definitely see, there is. I agree, Lurk. There is a bit of Inquisition in there as well. You can definitely tell it's got a lot of BioWare's previous development in the Frostbite engine has been thrown in there. What he's talking about, some of the UI, some of the graphical particle effects, very much felt like stuff I saw in Inquisition.
True.
But overall, you can tell there's heavy influences, and when I say influences, I don't mean copying or cloning. I just mean it's very heavily influenced by both Destiny and Warframe. Destiny, I feel like, is a bit more of the heavier influencer here, which I know Kev probably would appreciate on there, except there's no PvP. But you definitely get a very in a lot of cases, some of the menus you go into, the Fort Tarsus and the way that feels, definitely kind of threw me back into Destiny 1. I definitely got a very heavy sense of that. Now, when I say that, I say influence because it's not cloning it. It felt very different.
No.
But here's my thing, is that now we didn't get any story flavor really from this. We got a small taste with the story mission that you go on. But overall, we don't really know how the story plays or anything like that. Here's my major thing, is that I just can't I do not want to financially reward a company for yet another fucking live service game. I would prefer to reward companies for doing something new in the gaming market rather than just copying popular trends to try to make money.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason why I will not buy Anthem. I won't.
From my first impressions, like, I went into there not wanting to like the game, and I can say that I do not hate it. I don't dislike it. I don't know if I like it. I know for damn sure I'm not going to pay full price for it. Maybe years later when it's heavily discounted, when we get like not only is it's permanent discount down to $20 and it hits a holiday sale of $5 like Dragon Age and Inquisition and Titanfall 2 recently had this last month.
Yeah.
If it runs into that kind of sale, then I'll probably pick it up by then. That's about all I can say as far as I feel like investing into it.
Yeah,
and it's not.
So I'll be the guy playing it.
It may be worth more than that, but that's all the farther I'm willing to go for it.
Well,
so basically, I might be the one playing it if I actually enjoy it. But that means I have to get past this load screen.
Yeah. Well, the thing
Good luck with that.
Yeah, the thing is something else too. I actually kind of because I tried it both with mouse, keyboard, and then with controller. I hated fucking flying with a mouse. It was.
I've heard mouse and keyboard controls are really bad.
My controller deal right there. I went in feet first on this. I did a 360 emulation on the DS4, so I did not do my custom controller scheme. I went lazy in, plug and play, ready to go. Kev always says he has to have going for a controller to work for him. I did not do my usual, detailed custom controller tweak. I will if I have time this weekend, but I did not start off that way. And I like one of the things, any shooter, like not having gyro aim is like, feels like I've chopped off a couple of my fingers trying to play the game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I don't think you understand how much gyro aim spoils the ever living fuck out of you, especially having fired real life firearms, having both hands to aim with. That is such a huge thing. Like, yes, it is not as precise as a mouse, especially if you're well practiced with a mouse, but it is that fucking close. And when you have one unsteady hand, but both hands are pretty steady, it's a game changer for me.
Well, here's the thing.
For me, and I just want to talk about this with controller. I tried playing this with the 360 or my Xbox One controller. Can't do it. And that was just in Fort Tarvis. I didn't even make it. Like, I only made it to the Javelin and then got the load screen.
Well, here's the thing: is that
and the game felt so sluggish, and it needs a damn field of view slider.
The thing is, here's the thing. First of all, Fort Tarsis. Don't judge the gameplay on Fort Tarsis.
No, I'm just judging how sluggish the game felt.
That's the thing is that Fort Tarsis in general, you feel like a fucking turtle underwater in Fort Tarsis. It reminds me of my first time in Warframe playing Plains of Eidolon when you first land in that Cetus. Is it Cetus, right? Yeah. And you're walking through there and you're like, oh my god, the frame rate's like running at 15 frames per second, and you can't run, you can only walk, and it's like
out to you, it's like in Fort Tarsis, here's something you may not realize. You can actually sprint there. You don't notice that you're sprinting. That's the thing. Kev, this is the contrast here. You don't notice that you're sprinting, but you hit that sprint key. You are actually sprinting, and I did this. I did a perception test on there. Yes, you are actually sprinting. You just can't fucking tell. It's like 1.01 times your normal speed. But when you're in that robot, the Javelin, you notice it's a different feeling.
Well, the thing is, that's
why I said I like the mechanics was in the Javelin. I like the mechanics in the Javelin.
Well, here's another thing: is actually playing with the controller. I actually liked it better, and it's because of one of the silliest things. Is that one thing I will say that I liked about Anthem over Warframe, hands down, is how kind of really visceral and physically not realistic, but more physically authentic the movement felt. When you're like sprinting, running, dodging, that sort of thing. And one of the ways that they did that was that when you sprint, every footfall that you hit the ground with, it vibrates the controller just a little bit. You kind of get that feel.
You feel a vibration.
Yeah.
I stopped playing with vibration on the PS2.
The thing is that it actually helped. And I kind of liked, I was like, all right, man, I really feel like that I'm playing in a rather heavy mechanized suit.
That's something that did throw me off for a second because I normally play with a Steam controller, which those haptic things, whatever the fuck they're called on there, those haptic devices on there, they do not emulate vibration very well at all. So I just have it disabled. So I'm not used to playing with vibration. So when I was playing on the DS4, I'm like, what the fuck, this is moving around too much.
Right? I will say, I'm going to throw this back to Resident because I was playing it at first with a controller and I didn't know how to turn off the rumble. I didn't know whether they didn't put it under controls. They put it under gameplay.
Yep.
They didn't hit it in the menu in gameplay.
Yep.
But the atmosphere with that rumble and headphones, you feel it every time the zombies step. Just boom.
Yeah.
Boom. And it rumbles on the side of the controller.
Oh yeah.
Depending on where you're hearing it from, the match where you're hearing.
There's a kind of speaker out there. I've thought about purchasing this several times, but I don't usually get this immersed into games. But it would be great if you're big into immersion. It's a tactile transducer. It's a speaker that you mount to your chair, and you run it through your baseline, and you feel all that shit through your chair. You know,
I don't need all that.
From reading the reviews on it, it is very helpful in digging you deeper into a fucking game. Yeah. You combine that with a surround monitor or a widescreen curve monitor setup.
Yeah, but going back to Anthem, can I just say
I love some good immersion.
Can I just say, in Anthem though, one of the things I did love, I'm not gonna lie, playing with I think it was a Ranger. Yeah, I think that's
your basic one. Is the Ranger?
The Ranger. Yeah, I just want to say, dude, I was getting so many Iron Man vibes from that. I would literally fly straight into the ground, and he would do the Iron Man superhero landing.
That's why a lot of people are buying it. Is because they want to be Iron Man.
And I feel like I need to put on AC/DC.
And little do they realize there's an Iron Man game out there.
Yeah, but who the fuck wants to play it? Yeah.
Oh, just ripped that line from Snatch. Awesome pull.
Yep. But no, the thing is that it definitely gave me a lot of vibes from that. And especially the way the ordnance plays. Although obviously you're using an assault rifle, so there is that. The Colossus is straight up the fucking Hulkbuster. Although the Storm guy doesn't really have a correlation in there on that one. But that's and it feels when you're playing the Colossus, you can definitely feel the difference. Like I said, there's a good physics behind the movement in there, and that's one of the things where I say that when I say it's influenced by Warframe, because obviously you're playing third person in switchable suits. Warframes aren't technically suits, but they're kind of suits, if you will.
They are, but they aren't. It's some confusion thing going on there.
But so the thing is, though, is that they're pilotable biomechanical suits, whatever. Autonomous, whatever. Point is that you can tell the influence there as this game has been developed, that Warframe's development and some of the things that Warframe has done definitely helped influence this game. But there definitely feels a lot different. Like I said, that's where I say that I can feel the Destiny influence a lot more than the Warframe influence. And that's kind of where I have the concern. Because a live service game, to me, my opinion is how it's able to survive. And I know Kev differs with me on this one because he likes Destiny, and I personally don't like Destiny because it doesn't have enough fucking content variety for me. It's you have 3 classes. You have I think it's 7 classes of weapons, some of which are locked to certain classes. I think
none of them are locked to certain characters. You can use any weapon, any class. What you might be confusing is the hunter's pistol.
Yes, pistol.
Yeah, he has his ultimate. So think of it as ultimate ability, like you have in Overwatch.
I remember now.
Yeah, he has a flaming pistol.
Mm-hmm.
It's one
golden gun, man. It's golden gun. Yeah. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, in any case,
I don't know that much about that.
Yeah, I played it a bit.
I moved around a little bit, and then I'm like, hey, it's got some cool stuff I can interchange, and I don't have enough time. Fuck it, damn it.
But no, you can definitely feel the influence of it. My concern is that these 4 javelins are going to be the only 4 javelins. Now, I have not heard news one way or another on that, so that may not be the case.
I've heard there are going to be more javelins.
So if that is the case...
They start off with these 4.
Yeah, if that's the case, that's positive, because that's what Warframe did. They start off with, I think it's Excalibur, female Excalibur, which turned into Nyx, Volt, and I think it was Mag. I think were the original 4. I might be wrong on that one.
It was Excalibur, Volt, and Loki, I think.
Oh, Loki,
or not
that's
Volt.
right.
Mag, maybe. I don't know.
I thought Mag was first.
I was like, there was already at least a dozen, if not 2 dozen, by the time I got into the game. Yeah. One thing I wanted to mention on this game, though, is and this is a little bit obscure for a lot of people, is the environment, running through the environment not the movement, not the javelin itself, just the general environment reminded me of Firefall.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I think you're the only other person, amongst us that knows what the hell I'm talking about.
Before
dead.
Firefall turned to shit and died.
Yeah, before it pissed itself and died.
The developer completely fucked themselves on that game, but that's another story.
Well, they sold it off, and the people who bought into it, they're like, money, right? Oh, fuck, we actually got to do work on this. Damn it! All the players, we're shutting this down.
Yeah. But no, the thing is, now, as a bad side on there, something I didn't particularly care for was that the actual free roaming aspect of it, to be fair, it is not a fucking open world, sort of. It is open world in the sense of more like Dragon Age Origins is an open world.
Dragon Age Origins to me has had the best world.
I like the yeah. So you've got tile sets, right? And you go into different areas, and there are loading screens. And what I'm meaning by that is, as you're roaming around, you'll occasionally run into loading screens as you load into a new area. And in those areas, by the way, there's not just free travel either. You can't just fly up way high into the air like in Warframe. Like, we go into that new, I feel so stupid. The new place, the new open world that they introduced in Warframe.
I'm blanking on it. Fortuna,
that's the one. Oh, I think the actual open world was called something different.
Bardis or something like that.
Orb Valis. That's
Valis.
Yeah, so as you go into Orb Valis in there, like, you can fucking cruise from point A to point B in that massive open world because you can just fly over everything. The ceiling is really high. There's a reason why the ceiling is so high in there.
Unlimited flight time, too.
That's true. Well, the reason for the actual high ceiling in there is obviously because they designed Orb Valis to probably be the staging ground for the eventual launch of Railjack. But that's another story. But the thing is that travel through Orb Valis is super easy and painless. Oh, I've got, Lotus comes up and says, oh, there's a new dynamic event here. You can just go right there, straight line. Whereas in Anthem, you have to weave and wind your way through caves, and sometimes you can't go the ways you want to. Now, granted, I haven't played it a lot, so I don't know all the ways. I end up getting lost so many damn times in free play because I couldn't fucking figure out what direction I was supposed to go because everything's like corridored so fucking heavily. And I'm like, that really kills it for me. I'm like, I want to get over here. Now, a
better description of it is a tunnel maze. You do have multiple options you can go to all get to the same point, no matter which way, whatever you're doing. It's like a tunnel maze of the ending of Mass Effect 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's multiple different branches all of the same thing.
Endings?
Is that how it feels in Destiny 2 Viral? I haven't really played. I played a bit of the free roam in Destiny 2, right? Yeah, Destiny 2, was that the one I free roamed in? And I didn't really get enough of the open world experience. I only did a little bit of it and got bored.
Yeah, the open world experience in Destiny 2 isn't amazing. You want to go in there and do the strikes. You want to do the raid. You want to go in and do specific events. If you're just out there just doing public events, you're gonna get bored.
Now, not to throw in with IGN on here, but I actually did not get a chance to do the raid that they had in there, so I have not experienced the entire content. But are
you going to change your review score?
You know what? Actually, Kev, could you go ahead and go edit my review and then up
edit his review based on your outside perception of not experiencing the game.
Exactly. Hey, I experienced a nice loading screen, damn.
Yeah, and
that was a pretty colossus.
I don't have no.
Throw in a few words from me, even though I haven't played it. Say something like, "Ooh, it's pretty," and
I'm gonna try to find Rose's code.
Just pretty much.
I bet you Nvidia sent me too.
Right there.
Yeah. Well, okay. So if you didn't get a chance to demo it, for anybody else also that's listening, they will have another demo closer to launch. I think it's early February, or like in a couple weeks or something like that. They'll have an open demo for everybody to play, which, as far as I understand, will be the same thing that we've experienced here with this.
Self-DDoSing?
DDoS?
Yeah. Hopefully the game's not DDoSing itself for that one. February 1st through 3rd. Thanks, Lark. So it's February 1st through 3rd will be the open demo, which will be the same thing on here, just not gated to the VIPs not being able to access the game.
I don't know. From what I saw on Twitter, everybody got a code. It's like I talked to one dude on Twitter. Like I think him and Rose are the only people on the planet who didn't get a code.
The
like
thing is,
I'm pretty sure if I check my kids' emails, they got codes and they don't even they just play mobile.
My thing is,
here, I'll go check my email.
My thing is that I feel like the Loading Screen Simulator 2019. Yeah. So by the way, I just want to throw it out there. Fucking loading this game from an SSD, and I had someone that had a 970 NVMe SSD, and they were also having fucking crazy loading times. You're talking people with really high end SSDs can't fucking get these loading screens shorter.
You say NVMe, so I understand that it's at this point just attached to the board in your first PCI lane. You're not getting much closer to the CPU.
Here's some important things to note about how these drives work, though. Those super fast speeds are on the onboard cache of those drives. If those are these cheaper TLC NAND, that doesn't help with large file transfers, i.e. loading a game. What you want is MLC NAND, which is like the Samsung Pro, the Pro drives. Those are the ones with the faster transfer.
So here's
not
the thing.
the EVO.
So here's the thing. Here's the difference. You're talking single file transfer. So is it a large single file or a large amount of small files? That's where a lot of your difference comes in. Because if it's a large amount of small files, then it can offload those, the CPU can offload those quickly into the RAM. Because that's what it's doing. It's loading the information off of the hard drive onto the memory or onto the cache, then to the RAM, right? If it's a bunch of small files, it can pass that through pretty quickly. It's whenever you get a big file that takes up the entire cache, that's where you have a problem.
It's not that. That's not what it is. It's not a big file versus small file. It's pure throughput. So you got how much you're doing in a given point in time. How much your bit stream, more or less, is what you're looking at, is the consistent bit stream. The insane speeds that are advertised, those are up to a certain amount of bits in a certain frame of time that it caches it out. And there's 2 layers of cache in there. It has an onboard DRAM, plus it has a emulated SLC cache. Yeah. And then you have like my games are all loaded on cheap MLC. It's the Samsung Pro, and when it comes to large throughput like that, it is actually a little bit faster.
Well, my NVMe drive is a 960 Pro, so that's. I
don't have an NVMe drive.
You need to get good.
Yeah, if you're loading your games from that, it should be faster than mine.
Now, to be fair, most of my games are actually on a pair of 750 EVOs that are in RAID 0, and they actually
that should still be faster.
They benchmark faster than my 960 Pro. So take that for what it is. In any case, though, my main thoughts are: hey, the game feels good. It looks pretty good. It's got a lot of technical problems, which at this point that's become like standard for AAA Well, that's become the standard for games: is release it now, fix it later, which is unfortunate, especially since this game has had 6 supposedly solid years of development and is supposed to be better, but they still have these issues.
My thing is why do they say release it now, fix it later, but then we can't buy it later, get it cheaper?
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing.
That's
buy it later, get it cheaper.
That is
don't pre-order.
Going to be
get a better
cheaper.
game and spend $10 on it.
And that's personally my recommendation to people that really want the game is I would say probably wait a few months and the game's going to go on sale. And then
at that point I'm saying it about all of these games.
Yeah.
Like let's look at just games this past fall. Tomb Raider was on sale for $30 within a month. Fallout was
2
the same way.
2 weeks. Fallout 76, 2 fucking weeks. God, that's
Destiny Forsaken went on sale around Christmas. So again, 2 months.
Yep.
Like all of these games are just dropping ridiculously in price. Battlefield 5 was like a month before it went on sale. It's
because they're basing their sales market off of pre-orders, not day one plus sales.
Oh, there's a lot of reasons for it, but I think it is pre-orders. I think it is day one sales. I think also they're just trying to keep up with stuff like Fortnite.
Well, yeah.
Fortnite, like how do you get people off of free? Hey, this is game, it's free and it's fun, and paying money is optional. And we want you to pay money to maybe like our game.
And the thing is
it's a dangerous kind of precedence, I think, because if you get too many people, you get too much shovelware. But when a game is really good, it puts the AAA guys on notice.
Well, here's the thing: is that first of all, Fortnite has the microtransactions that are cosmetic only and stuff, but it's free. And then Anthem comes out and says, "Hey, this is gonna be $60+ because you got season." Oh, no, there's no season pass because
Bioware is doing their normal DLC free. You're paying $60 and that's it.
Oh, you're paying? No, there is an $80 digital deluxe edition, I think.
Well, but isn't it just cosmetic shit?
I don't know. I haven't looked because I don't really care. I'm not interested in buying it. But the thing is,
I'm saying let's not comment if we don't know exactly what it is.
What I'm saying is $60 plus. You can pay more than $60 for this game.
But you're making it sound mandatory, and I don't.
No, it's not. It's not mandatory. What I'm saying is that you can pay $60 plus for this game, and then also have cosmetic microtransactions in it. Whereas a game like Warframe or a game like Fortnite is free and then also has cosmetic microtransactions.
Oh, they've already said there's going to be microtransactions in it. They're going to be cosmetic. They've already said it.
Oh, yeah, I know. And the thing is that from what I've seen, it seems like they're direct buy, which, by the way, I'm not discounting their microtransactions. They seem to be genuinely trying to do microtransactions right. So they're direct buy. They're cosmetic only, not in any way mandatory, which I'm like, cool. You guys are doing everything right. Now, caveat, because this is EA, and we know how EA is, in a couple months after launch, there could be loot boxes in there. In which case, all of what I just said about doing microtransactions right goes right the fuck out the window, and we go back to fuck EA. I'm just on
now. BioWare said we know BioWare can be full of shit sometimes, but they did say that there will never be. But I've heard it from BioWare because they're involved with EA now. I have to, keep an open mind here. They did say there will never be loot boxes in this game.
Yep.
Bullshit.
Real quick. Yeah. Osiris. What's up,
and
man?
I'm also looking at the $80 edition, just so we can throw that out there while we're still on topic.
Yep.
It's you get a banner, you get a couple armor and weapons, an attachment, another set of armor, and a digital soundtrack.
Which to be fair, those attachments and shit, if
are going to be bullshit.
If history serves, they're going to be maybe useful in early to mid game, but then will quickly become useless. That's pretty much every time there's those special equipment that you get with that special edition. They're usually just stuff that makes you feel special when you first get the game, and then they're fucking pointless. Now, the banner, the thing is here is that people like to feel like they're special snowflakes in these games. So, for example, the people
the games?
Yeah, right.
I had an argument with a Special Snowflake on Twitter tonight about Kingdom Hearts, or excuse me, about calling people losers for liking Kingdom Hearts, but that's another.
Oh,
so I'm like, you might be a.
Yeah, but my thing is that there's been a lot of things that to me make it a worse value proposition than a lot of other offerings out there, and I feel like that's what they're fighting against. And that's
Did I lose you guys?
Huh? Yeah, you probably lost us. Good job, Kev.
Nah, you're here now, but I was experiencing some weirdness for about 30 seconds.
That's okay. So in any case,
we're wrapping up anyway.
Yeah, we're wrapping up, and we're going to turn this into our final thoughts on here. But I just mainly want to say is that I'm not going to be buying it because I don't want to buy into a live service game currently. I'm looking for people that are doing new and interesting shit in games, and that's kind of where I want to focus my money personally.
Hey, what's up to Osiris in the chat? I see you.
Yeah, but that's he didn't miss whenever I just said hi to him. Whatever.
I think this is my haywire.
But yeah, in any case, with that said, I'm not saying that it's a bad game. It looks like it has potential to be a good game. Granted that the technical problems can get fixed, so anybody who is interested in the game, first of all, number one, do not fucking pre-order. Kev, for the love of God, with your typing.
Kev's on there pre-ordering that shit right now.
Yeah, I'm about to hit you with that cat meme, just slapping the keyboard.
Yeah. But for the love of everything, don't pre-order the game. Don't pre-order any game.
Pre-orders are bad.
Because all that does, it does not benefit you, doesn't benefit the developers. It only benefits the publishers and the shareholders. Okay? So don't pre-order. But if you want the game, I would recommend waiting a few months until they get all the technical issues fixed and then buy it. And chances are then it will be on sale and you can get it even cheaper. The reason why I recommend waiting until the technical problems are fixed is because that tells developers, tells publishers that people want to buy finished working games. If you buy it before it's finished and working, that tells developers and publishers that you're a moron, and then they can sell you shit games and then promise you to fix it later and you'll still buy it, right?
And the problem is a lot of people
and they won't fix it.
And
a lot of people will defend it. A lot of people defend that shit.
Yeah,
Bethesda. It's not just Bethesda either. People we got to get out of the idea that we need it now. We need it today.
Yep.
And that's I see that with a lot of people they have to have it the minute it comes out. No, wait a minute. You don't want to be the beta tester. You don't want to be the alpha tester. We don't want to buy into early access. You let the suckers buy into early access. Let them pay the beta test. You get a cheaper product that is better just by being patient.
Yeah.
The current apologetics for the pre-order, as I've seen recently, the ones that try to make a semi-logical argument is, well, I want it to be already downloaded by launch time because a lot of them will offer you to start downloading. If you pre-order, to start downloading prior to launch time, and then you can play it at launch time. And that's this fucking stupid argument. The only slight exception to that is if they say give you a week or more download time, you still got to sit on a fully downloaded game for a week if you're somebody who's in a first world country. But somebody who's in a third world country, that has a little bit of advantage if you want to play it on day one, where it's going to take them a week to download the fucking game.
Mm-hmm. But now, I'm with you there, Xaiphen. I think there are exceptions to the rule.
That's me as far as I can try to play devil's advocate, and that's a hard
I'm going to make an exception to the rule, and it's partially because I'm damage controlling for myself. Resident Evil, I did pre-order day of. I came home from work, and I bought it. I think I bought it 2 hours before it unlocked. My reason being, it had a demo. The demo was outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
And I had every reason to believe this was going to be a solid game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's and that's where I would say the exception comes if they give you a demo and the demo is outstanding.
So here's the thing. So first to respond to a couple of comments on there. Is first of all, there's not really necessarily any benefit to you to play it early. You're still going to experience the game. You're still going to have the same fun that you would otherwise have if you get it a day after launch versus pre-ordering it and getting the day of launch. It's going to be the same fucking game, same fun for you. You're going to enjoy it no matter what. The second thing, to Cats on YouTube, and I have to pull that up because now I can't see it because you guys are, typing in chat things. He learned his lessons from Battlefield 5, never giving a company my money again before launch, especially EA. The thing is,
I mean, we all have our lessons, Cats. I learned from Master Chief Collection.
Yeah. So here's
Andromeda.
And here's my thing is that I've heard the argument before in some form or another of well, I'm going to buy it anyway. Might as well pre-order it while I have the money. Two things to comment on that. Number one, if you're really bad at fucking money management, you need to consult with someone if you can't save up $60 in a savings account or put it away and don't touch it so you can buy a game. Because if that $60 gets eaten up by something more important before launch of the game, it probably was important, and you probably needed that $60 that you spent on pre-order. You shouldn't be buying the
fucking game. Get the get the 10-year-old games 20 for $1 on the Steam sales. That's what if you got a game, that's what you should be buying.
Yeah, so that's
well, I think part of the problem is too is a lot of people just don't want to come to games, especially multiplayer games.
Well,
because they feel like they're at a disadvantage.
So that's my second point is on here, is that. If you want, and that's the thing, is that's a complete fallacy. Getting in early into the game isn't necessarily going to make a damn bit of difference on your performance in the game. I'll get to that in a second. The second point I had on the whole, I'm going to order it anyway. If you're going to order it no matter what, there's nothing wrong with that. Order it day one. Cool. There's no difference to you if you order it day one versus you pre-ordering it. There is no effective difference to you. Maybe an hour or two to download the game if you got slow internet. But here's what it does do. It gets those publishers out of this fucking mindset of pre-order culture of trying to trick and deceive consumers to pre-ordering games, and instead puts the pressure on them to have a complete working game on launch to try to get those day one sales instead. So for there's no difference. For the publishers, there's a major fucking difference because those pre-orders tie directly into stock sales. Because you got to remember, AAA corporate publishers, you are not the fucking customer. You are the product. Your money that you're spending on those games is what they use to demonstrate their profitability and growth as a company so that investors buy stocks. Remember that. You are not the fucking customer. You're the product. So if you want to be a sheep. That's cool, but you're still a sheep.
Right.
I'd also like to add that, like, the pre-order bonuses that you usually get, like those guns and whatever, usually, especially... They aren't worth it. They're usually, like Mort said, outstrip mid-game anyways. But, like, for Final Fantasy 15, there were some skins that you could get for the regalia. There were numerous things that you could get. Weapons and shit. The weapons were outstripped mid-game anyways. But the one thing is those were later sold as separate DLCs.
I was about to make that point.
Usually, and this even happened in Persona 5, I had that pre-ordered. I knew it was going to be a good game anyways, because Atlas has never disappointed me.
Here's the thing about
Persona 5 is amazing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, it is. But they had some pre-order stuff for that, too. Later sold as DLCs. So just keep an... keep an eye out for that.
What is it? Most
keep an eye out for that
will
DLC.
Sell you that pre-order DLC day one. And if not day one, they'll sell it to you within a week or so. And I've been one of those guys who waited. I waited on Shadow of the Tomb Raider. And it was still a great game. I waited like 2-3 weeks for it. And then when I played it, I still enjoyed it. But what I'm saying is don't be at the mercy and the leverage of these publishers.
Yeah.
Buy games on your time, play them on your time.
As far as catching up with the rest of everyone,
make them earn your money.
Yep.
At the end of the day, they're supposed to be doing you a service, not the other way around.
Was that Xaiphen?
You don't owe them shit.
Dragon Age Inquisition multiplayer, I am years behind you too. I don't feel like I've missed. I have actually missed out. Like, well, not missed out. Do not have the level of crap that you have in that game, but I don't feel at any significant disadvantage.
I don't think Dragon Age Inquisition.
I don't feel like I'm personally missing out. I'll catch up eventually.
Go to Titanfall multiplayer and get smacked a little while, and you're going to see they already have the overpowered guns. They already have everything unlocked, and they're going to smack you with your
But that only lasts for a bit. And the thing is that
it does only last for a bit. But for some people, they hate that little bit of time, and then there's guys like me who smack you on Christmas.
Here's the thing. So a couple things. First of all, that initial like you getting killed, that happens anyway. Chances are when you first buy the game, there's going to be that teething period. Now, if you get in like day one, chances are it's going to be a little bit shorter because everybody's on a early playing field.
Even playing field.
Yeah, huh?
Yeah, it's more of an even playing field.
It's a bit more of an even playing field, but you're going to still have those teething problems anyway. It's just that they're going to be a bit shorter.
Skill level gap because this sucks.
And let's not forget too, because we all play on PC. So when we're playing on PC, there's some of these people out here who have no life. You know, game comes out 9 o'clock Thursday night. You go to work Friday morning, come home, and now they're at level 80.
Yeah, and
they're almost max level, have everything unlocked, and the game's been out less than 24 hours. And so, there are those motherfuckers out there that are going to smack.
But anyway, I'm going back to Kev's.
They played the game.
But I'm going to go back to Kev's point of the whole like don't do the work for Kev. I preach this all the fucking time. Because unfortunately, being a part of the BioWare community, you have a lot of really diehard people that are very passionate about BioWare games, and I'm like, I understand, man. BioWare has made some amazing games that really, really drew me in, and I can really say I fucking loved so many of those games. Baldur's Gate, Neverwinter Nights, KOTOR, and fucking Jade Empire are some of my favorite games ever. Mass Effect 1 and 2 and 3 even are also amazing games. Dragon Age. Those games are fucking awesome. However, that does not mean that BioWare is entitled to my fucking money. They should earn it.
Well, here's a great counter argument against that. How can you be sure it's the same BioWare now as it was then?
Well, it's not.
It's not.
It isn't. But here's the thing: is like to answer that question. The answer was made by Shakespeare. A rose by any other name should smell as sweet. It's a fucking name. Don't hang on a name.
Well, yeah, it's the thing is that and that's,
crews change, leaders change. It can, in a few years, it can be a completely different company with the same damn name.
And that's the thing is that
BioWare is completely. Let's look at the difference between Andromeda, Dragon Age Inquisition, and Mass Effect 3.
Well, the thing is go back a step further. I think the change actually started Mass Effect 2. And we know
a lot of these changes.
I agree the change happened in Mass Effect 2, but I think it's more apparent when you jump from Mass Effect 3 to Dragon Age Inquisition, and even more so in Anthem.
Yeah, but where my point is with that is that with Mass Effect 2, that was the last game that started development and largely had all of its development when BioWare was its own company, and before they got fully taken over. Well, they were. It's complicated, but suffice to say, that was before EA had control of the company fully. Once that game released...
I think Dragon Age 2 might have actually been the last one.
No.
I know that. Well, I'm talking about not before the buyout, but before EA really got their hands dug in. Yeah. I don't feel a lot of the EA-ness in Dragon Age 2.
Well, no, I'm pretty certain that Dragon Age 2 got rushed out because of EA.
Yeah, it did get rushed.
I think so. Don't quote me on that. That's an allegation. That's a rumor. No apparent proof of that.
I wouldn't doubt that at all.
Yeah,
Dragon Age 2 does feel a little incomplete compared to, say, Dragon Age Origins.
Yeah. Well, the thing is,
I guess for me, the biggest thing that feels rushed for me for Dragon Age 2 are the controls on PC. It controls atrocious.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of shortcuts that you can tell in that game that make it look like that the deadlines were moved way far forward, and the timeline in which it was released.
Maybe if I went back and played it, I played it again. I haven't played it in like 3-4 years.
There's a lot of.
I'd probably see more of them.
There's a lot of repeated environments, and
the game itself the whole game was based in Kirkwall.
Yeah, well, and the game itself is pretty short comparative between Origins and Inquisition, and so it kind of feels like that there should have been more to it, but I have no proof of that. So that's just a feeling.
And also I'll admit, I think Dragon Age 2 to me had the best cast of characters.
Mm-hmm.
Characters I felt were the best in Dragon Age 2. It just suffered from a lack of locale. And I actually think story-wise, Dragon Age 2 might actually be the strongest.
It's one of the strongest, I would say.
It's one of the strongest BioWare story games that I've ever played. I think only problem that I really have with it is that you just don't really get to see a lot because it's based on story and Kirkwall.
Well, my main point, though, is that even with, like, to me personally, I noticed the shift. You can notice the shift in the games from, like, Mass Effect 2 was in and of itself kind of a big shift in the direction of BioWare going. Because it is like what I see is that's whenever they kind of really started going from the more kind of traditional heavy RPG, heavy and kind of complex RPG elements to being more kind of casualized and actiony, right?
You saw that in Dragon Age 2. I saw it in Mass Effect 2.
Sorry, Mass Effect 2. That's what I was meaning.
Yeah, Mass Effect 2. They stripped all. I wouldn't even call Mass Effect 2 an RPG.
No, it's an action event. Or it's a cover shooter.
It's a third-person shooter. That with cover elements. There are no stealth elements.
No, there's no stealth elements.
But the thing is, it's a cover shooter, all like Gears of War, all Uncharted.
Yeah. But so in any case, though, the thing
and I still love it.
Is that as much as I love those BioWare games, that doesn't mean that BioWare coming up with something is going to immediately be an instant buy for me. That's stupid. That is literally stupid.
That literally means we are not pre-ordering Dragon Age 4.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to pre-order Dragon Age 4.
You gotta be stupid to pre-order Dragon Age 4.
I'll pre-order if I get a good discount. if I find a pre-order for the deluxe edition for $40, I will consider pre-ordering.
Mm-hmm.
Like the $80 edition for 50% off, I would consider pre-ordering.
I don't know. In any case, my thing is that to sum this up, because I know we start ranting over because we ran
over. We didn't even run over a special announcement for
a special announcement for what?
For our new permanent fixture here.
Oh yeah. So as our final thoughts on here, I think we kind of went off.
we didn't even give her no shout out.
No.
She's been quiet.
Like, hey, here's a random person.
But for our next podcast,
well, she was here 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly. So for our next podcast, we will actually have a different special guest on here, mainly because I don't want to try to risk running this with 5 people on there because I'm afraid it would probably destroy my computer with how poorly Discord runs. But so next week we'll actually have a special guest on here with Nicodemus X because he's amazing and awesome and stuff like that. But then after that, NightRose here is actually going to become a permanent member of our cast on here. So everybody who's watching in chat on there and making comments on there that I can't read because it's too small, essentially, have fun making jokes about Kev no longer being the only girl of the group.
Well, I mean, she's black people too. Look at that light.
I can't help it. I'm in the living room. That's where my desktop is.
I'm gonna send you some links for recommendation to these Philip Hue lights I got. They're great.
Oh my gosh!
I'm not actually white. The lighting. It's an illusion.
He's whiter than the light. He's just trying to. The light actually just tones down the pale.
I'm actually the one with like the like super like specific professional lighting, 3 points and all that shit. Anyway,
well,
ain't nobody.
I do have that too. It's just really ghetto.
I'm going to get those Elgato lights.
You actually are?
I want to get 2 of them. Yeah, I'm going to get 2 of them.
I fucking told you should do that. That shit.
Oh,
those are actually.
I told you I was going. I knew I was going to do the minute I saw them. I saw them.
No, you didn't. You said
I
they're
did.
too expensive.
I said I wanted to see some reviews first, but I was on board.
All right.
I wanted to see reviews first.
I thought you said that.
Are you talking about those really expensive ones?
Yeah, they're like $200.
And I didn't like that they were $200 each because I thought to myself like, you're going to need at least 2 of these.
Yeah, they're
$400 for lights.
They're remotely controlled. You know what? let's not tangent off.
We'll discuss this after we go offline.
We'll chat about it offline.
For those of you watching, me and Mort go back and forth like this all the time.
Yeah, this pretty.
And it'll be like an hour and a half discussion.
And to throw it out there for all you guys that are watching the stream right now, you can get in on this back and forth by joining our Discord server. The link's down in the description. Yeah, I'm good at that. In any case, guys, we're gonna get signed off on here. So next week, we're actually going to be playing Mass Effect 3 multiplayer for our party stream. It took me a minute to actually remember what the fuck we're playing. We're going to be playing some Mass Effect 3 multiplayer for our party stream. So that's going to be good golden shit. Yes, Kev is sitting there thinking, fucking forgot from Mass Effect.
No. Actually, I was going to talk to you about that after the stream, because I know we mentioned it.
Yeah.
But I wanted to get a game. I can remember we were doing that at Titanfall. And I wanted a game that we could
we're going to switch to Warframe.
I could not.
Going back to what I was saying, I was going to ask you about that after the podcast, but I wanted to make sure we had a game that we could loop Rose into. I know she has the trilogy. Yeah. But I know she also doesn't have Titanfall, and I didn't know we were doing Titanfall or Mass Effect.
We're all good. We're going to kind of plan things for that. But next week is Mass Effect 3, which everybody has, and that's going to be cool. And then after that, obviously, our next podcast stream will be in a couple weeks on here. Always, of course, at 7 p.m. Pacific time. Every Saturday, we alternate between the podcast and the party streams, and we stream it on Twitch, YouTube, and Mixer. I forget about Mixer. And obviously, look at that. Xaiphen on top of it shit. And the podcast, of course, we upload the audio of that to all of your favorite podcast sources, which includes iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, Stitcher, Breaker, Overcast, CastBox, PocketCast, and Republic Radio for your listening pleasure if you want to hear us ramble on while you're driving in the car, sitting in the traffic, and that sort of thing.
Glorious!
Yes.
Breathe, Mark. Breathe.
Praise Phil Spencer!
And in case,
praise
guys,
Gaben!
In case, no.
Praise Razor!
No, Kev.
Do that all in one breath. Do the Ace Ventura rewind. You broke up there. What?
We're gonna get signed off here, guys. You guys have fun. We'll catch you next week for the party stream. Have fun, everybody.
Yeah. Yoshida!
Well, now.
I do this every time.
Are we still live?
Of course. More doesn't cut this off until we stop.
Well,
this is why I don't like leaving more control.
I don't get to see me
myself.
Well, you can still listen to me, but it's going to the shitty mic.
We gotta shut up and let Rose talk a little bit.
I want to switch over to the lobby, or I'll stay here.